How are you feeling?
I am foggy, but
Oh,
I
do you
am.
want to let people in the rooms?
Yeah, we
In the room?
can. If you can let people in the room as they come, we'll see how this goes. I've got some.
Okay.
I think I can swing it,
Oh my gosh.
and then I
You like
will
my
go.
background? Oh, and look who's with me.
Ooh,
Hey. Hi, Katie.
love it, love
Hope you're
it.
feeling better.
Oh, thank you. Hi, Janelle.
Oh,
Hi, how are you?
Good to see
How's
you.
hi.
every Good to see everyone. Hi,
Good.
Sherry.
How are you?
I'm
Happy.
doing
I'm
good.
in a, I'm in a convention hall with what is there about 1,500 kids out there right now? With about 1,500 eighth graders right now.
Yes, I'm actually with some students too. So, Katie, I
Really?
really apologize. I am here. I'm actively listening, but I cannot speak
That's
as
fine.
much.
That's fine.
Okay.
We're gonna keep this flowing, and grooving. Hi, Mark. Nice to see you
Hello,
again.
Hi,
good to
Mark.
see you all. Hello,
Good.
Janelle.
I think we got let's see here. A few other, we'll give it one more minute and then we will kick it off. Happy,
I'm going to mute myself so you don't hear the
yeah,
very loud announcement.
yeah. Sherry is at a
Oh,
convention center. So it is
it's a
the end
good
of the
time though.
year rush for everyone. So um
Well, and one of our clients is here, Graduate School of Oceanography, and they're very psyched to be working with KSA.
that's
So
always a good thing.
it's been a good convention so far.
Good. Awesome. All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and get started? I think we may have a couple others that drip on through. And let me see if I'm recording, right? Yep. Okay. I'm always good at running all this stuff. So, well, hello everyone. Happy December. Happy holidays. We are super excited to be here, wrapping up our final oh shit Q&A of the year, which is hard to believe that we're here and ending. As everyone knows, I am Katie, Crazy Katie, the chaotic founder of KSA Marketing. We are a full-scale integrated marketing and advertising firm here in Rhode Island, women owned, which is how we meet wonderful people like Janelle through many of our trade associations and different organizations that we are part of. And we like to talk about oh shit moments here. So we started doing this Q&A as a way to maybe create space for everyone to understand that marketing is messy. And the best marketing is an iterative process where you are working yourself from oh shit to hell yeah. So OSHA is always the problem that we're trying to solve, or whatever is causing friction and tension at the current moment in time. And hell yeah is when we start seeing, okay, now I'm in a system, and this is feeling comfortable, and I'm seeing traction and I'm seeing results. And hell yeah, maybe you just see have that confidence of, oh yes, my marketing is actually delivering ROI. As we are rounding out the end of the year, I always think it's a nice time for everyone to take a moment and think about what is working and what is not. When we talk about our model at KSA, I always say it's about who, what, where. So, who are the audiences we are talking to? What are we trying to get them to do at each stage, or what are the activities that we're driving forward with marketing? And where can we reach our audiences? When we get the who, what, where locked in, we know that we have something that's scalable and repeatable. So I'm going to pick on you, Mark, for a minute. Uh,
Sounds
what is
good.
one marketing activity that you did this year that you feel generated real results?
Well, actually, for the first time, I really felt comfortable starting up with doing some paid ads.
Great.
And so, yeah, there's this process that I've been going through and just kind of like learning a little bit more about that, honing in on one particular product that I offer,
Uh-huh.
which is this collective experience. And as of last week, now granted, even I know even as you're doing paid ads, it actually helps with the organic ads,
Does it
right? Or,
lift it all up?
organic, yeah.
Mhm.
And there was someone that reached out to me last week, and I just said, "Well, how did you find me?" And he said, I don't know if it was ChatGPT, if it was this, or if it was PMax or whatever, because I was doing some PMax campaigns a little while ago. So I've actually even since paused it, but that helped him find me. He's like, I didn't even know exactly what I was searching for, but like once I saw your site, I knew that what you offer in these experiences is exactly something that I wanted to offer his parents essentially. So yeah, so that was really,
Incredible.
I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
oh my gosh, like it was like, oh my gosh, this works.
You're so right. And I think some people miss that about paid advertising is that paid advertising can accelerate some organic traffic that you have going on if it's set up right. So a big part of what we do with paid advertising, especially in the digital space, is we'll do what we call remarketing and retargeting. So if someone's been on a website previously, that is a great way to get some potentially people that are hanging out in the middle or bottom of your funnel and move them to an actual lead inquiry. So I love that it was paid advertising for you,
Yeah,
Mark.
yeah.
That's great. And Janelle is saying that networking has been huge for her. I know, Janelle, you're in the early stages of the business being under your ownership, and networking is 100% where you should be spending a lot of time there and getting out there and just sort of shaking those hands and getting people familiar with you. Is there an activity, Mark, for you that looked like it was kept you really busy, but maybe didn't deliver the results and the ROI? Um,
Ooh,
is there anything that stands
that's
out?
a good question.
I'll use ourselves as an
Okay.
example. We put a lot of time and effort always into social media, and we go through fits and starts of, our own organic social media. And how do you keep that, maintain that balance of doing consistent frequency there, but also staying on brand, making sure you're delivering a value and of service for it. I think for us, even as a marketing agency, that is probably one area where when I look at the time and effort that we put into it, and then, what we can attribute any sort of business results to it, I'm always like, like that's at best a net neutral, if not a loss leader for us. I think that is probably one area that I see a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of small businesses put effort into, is driving, multiple posts a day, multiple posts a week. They're staying up until midnight to generate that content. And I think that's one area that most small businesses should pay a little more attention to, is sort of like how much effort's going into it, and then are you seeing that tangible growth and return ROI on it. It's hard to attribute. You don't need to be on every single channel, and you don't need to be producing multiple pieces of content every day, depending on what your business is, especially if you're in a business to business environment. I think that's one of the harder ones. I find LinkedIn is probably the most valuable social media channel for if you're doing business to business, as opposed to Meta and X and TikTok. But that's different. That's our business. And that just sort of depends on where our customers are. Mark, is there anything that you guys have been tracking? What that?
Well, I will say this, interestingly enough, and I was as after you started mentioning social, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I began the year doing I even like started last year, but I was doing a LinkedIn post once a week,
Hmm.
and it was adding value in some way, shape, or form. And it was just really hard to see. I was putting half an hour almost into like each week to write up the article, make sure that it was relevant, make sure that it was timely, whatever, or even just valuable, quite frankly. And to see the LinkedIn analytics the next week, like your post reached 5 people, your post reached 15 people. It's like there's a lot of work involved in trying to just like I could have spent that time talking to 5 people,
It's
literally,
so true. So
right?
true.
So that was a little bit harder. So I actually kind of paused that towards the middle of the year and just started kind of ramping that back up a little bit. But yeah, it's just yeah, it's that's really kind of hard to see that, especially after like I'm talking like even 5, 6 months in. Like there'd be
Yeah.
times, yeah, you'd get like I was like 180. I'm like, okay, that's reasonable, but then it would go down to like 30, and then I'm like, I don't understand the algorithm well enough to know like what I'm doing or what I'm not doing or what I should be doing and like all of that and they could change it on a dime and then you're like okay well what was working is no longer and so you're constantly just fighting this battle if you will. So I don't know, that's
It's
just my
so
own take on that.
No, no, it's so true. I think that it all boils down to what your industry is and where your audience is living. So who, if you've got your who really dialed in and your who, you're confident that your target audience is addressable on social media, then by all means you should be putting
Mhm.
effort in. But most likely, social media isn't the only way to reach them. And that is where I think most of us as small business owners or marketers can fall down is that we forget, we put all our effort into that one channel and then we don't do anything else throughout the year. So a true marketing system is going to have a couple different marketing activities that you're putting out, whether it's on a weekly, daily, monthly, frequency, and all three of those are sort of working in cadence to each other. I'm going to share my screen for a minute here. Let's see this goes here. So if you are, can you see my screen here?
Yep.
You will receive, if you're signed up for the webinar, you will receive a follow-up and it'll have a couple attachments to it as you're working through your own who, what, where. And I wanted to talk a little bit because especially since we're at that year end stage, I find it's a really good time for people to look back on what are all the marketing activities I did for the year and let me start thinking about where I want to put my effort and my energy in 2026 and in the coming year. So if you think about who your audience is, you want to always tie how much money does that audience represent? Because if they aren't going to represent, a good enough volume for your business, then you may need to reshift who that focal point is of a audience that you're targeting. And then the second piece, when you're planning on what do you want to do in your marketing and your marketing energy engine, is you've really got to look at what your current revenue reality is and what your future revenue targets are. Marketing is an investment. So anybody who believes that you're going to you're going to launch a campaign and you're going to get immediate ROI, that does happen, but it's really hard to sustain on a consistent, ongoing basis. If you're doing marketing on the right way, you're building systems and you're building tools that are going to work in connection with each other, and that is going to drive consistency, and you're going to work towards those revenue goals over a long term. Most of what we do in marketing is measuring incrementality. We're not measuring massive gains of, 25 to 50% in terms of outcomes or business volume. Sometimes it happens if you've done a lot of really hard, a lot of homework and have that who really dialed in and what you want them to do at each stage of the funnel. But other times it doesn't really. Most of the time, it is a little bit of incremental growth every month that compounds so that over 12 months span of time, you can say, oh, wow, we really did see our impressions on social media grow from the beginning of the year. So now that we're at the end of the year, now's a great time to take stock of all those benchmarks and those metrics that you're tracking on a monthly basis. So what does your web traffic look like? What does your email list look like? If you've got emails, what's your open rate? So just keep on looking at every marketing activity and think, what? Ask yourself, what can I measure? What am I asking them to do? What do the numbers show me? And so once you've got those outlined, how you build a marketing engine is you really start thinking about what assets and what resources you have at your fingertips. As your marketing gets more complicated, the amount of assets and components of your marketing engine might get more complicated too. You might introduce agencies. You might have multiple agencies. You might outgrow an agency. That happens. Just because the agency that is the perfect fit for you right now doesn't necessarily mean that they're the right fit for you if your business goes like gangbusters and they're at triple in growth in the next couple of years. So I like to tell people to bucket all these into the categories of people, tech, content, owned media, and then media investments. And the difference between owned media and media investments, owned media are ones that you can push out at the click of a button, whether it's your email, your own website, your own organic social. Media investments usually require a media partner, whether it be a TV station or a platform or channel partner and or an agency to access those. And then what you want to do is think about how much effort do I want to put into growing that part of my marketing engine. So if I'm a one-man shop like maybe, or one woman shop like Janelle might be, she's having to wear all hats for all parts of her business. So it might be that a priority for her in 2026 would be to add more people so she can get some of those activities off of her plate. So take stock of everything that you've done this year and break down where you believe the amount of priority they are in terms of how important they are to driving results for your business, where they are in terms of maturity, meaning like I've got a system, it's not a pain point, it doesn't cause any friction, and what do we think the cost to optimize that channel would be? Total those out, and then that's going to give you at least some groundwork of how to foundationally budget your marketing activities next year. If you see that your highest area of maturity and the area that you would really like more resources going against are in the people category, then you might want to look at getting a virtual assistant or an agency that only does social media to help take that lift off your plate in 2024 or 2026. Sorry. Whew. Jumping all over what years we are. So that I just find is a good exercise when we're here at the end of the year to start taking note of the inventory, start thinking through what those priorities are, and look at it beyond what the actual cost is. The biggest mistake I see a lot of businesses make is they say, okay, I'm going to grow my business next year. I'm going to double my business, but I'm not going to put any money into marketing. And you can hustle hard. That will work for a while, and God knows that can deliver the revenue. But you want to make sure that you build scalable systems and audiences so that as you double your business, that you've got the systems that are going to continue to sustain and retain that revenue, and continue to grow you for the long term. And then the other mistake that I see people make a lot of times is they take that marketing budget and they say, oh, okay, I spent $50,000 last year on marketing, um, and I didn't get any leads. You've got to really look at where you invested your time and your effort on your marketing channels, and then really think about those leads. It's really hard to attribute each lead to a specific marketing channel. Most times it's the end result of multiple marketing activities, and it takes time. It might A lot of times, I know for our business, the leads that come in today are usually the result of efforts from 18 months ago. Because that's about what it takes for someone to become a client at KSA. Is they hear about us, they get to know us, they maybe are following us on our content for a little while, and we have a few conversations. That whole journey can take 18 months. So if you're only looking at things as like, I launched this campaign and I got, 5 leads from it, but none of those leads converted, you might be measuring it too tight too soon. Does that make sense? Mark, what are you struggling with as you think at the end of the year and you're looking at what opportunities uh,
Yeah,
and goals you have for 2026?
great question. Thank you. And it's funny because literally I just did something last week. Um, I do some art curation in town,
Mhm.
and it was funny because there was a ribbon ceremony at one of the new office buildings last year on December 4th, and the new office that was being built during that ribbon cutting ceremony was just launched on December 4th of this year. And I approached him in the parking lot. No joke. This probably won't surprise you, but I was like literally running after him because I thought he was leaving for the night. And I was like, "Hey, this is what I do." And he's like, "Oh yeah, let's talk." Well, a year exactly to the day is when I had installed my art to showcase it. But he's like, "Yeah, we literally did this to the day and I was like, wow, talk about the timing of it all.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of a fun story of just like how long it really does take. And it was almost kind of like he raised his hand last year, right?
Mhm.
As I met him, and it just took a year of developing that relationship, and that was really cool. So I think a couple things. Two things that came to mind is, and feel free to
Mhm.
tackle one or the other, or whatever, or both, or however you want to do it. But um, one of which is I have created a lot of content over the years.
Yes.
And there's some stuff that I have done where like literally it has never seen the light of day because I'm like, I recorded it because
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to capture that moment, but then it's like the amount of time that I have to spend on putting that into social is like it
Yeah.
just takes a long time, half hour,
Mhm.
45 minutes for like a post. I know that that sounds like, well, wait, don't you already have the video? Yeah, but then there's captioning, then there's the tags, and then there's this and that. So some of that content, I'm like, how would I maybe start to arc that? Like, I'm trying
Mhm.
to figure out how do I take some old stuff, even doing like a throwback Thursday. I like
Mhm.
alliteration. So I'm like, every Thursday would have some throwbacks of like, hey, this isn't current, but it's like, this is old stuff that never saw the light of day.
Mhm.
So there's that. The other thing is I'm also about to turn on some paid ads for
Mhm.
Facebook because my art book has been selling really well. Like it's
Great.
actually outselling
Amazing.
my prints.
Mhm.
Um, and so I just and it's a self-help book, like in terms of just like helping people to connect back to their creativity. So the reason I kind of want to bring that one up is there's obviously it's a smaller price point, right? When you're
Yeah.
talking about, a couple $1,000 painting
Yes.
versus a $15 book, you have margin here. There's a lot less slim margin here. Now, granted, obviously it's much easier for people to be able to do this. I am shifted over to Shopify now, so it's going to be a little easier for people to buy and purchase than it currently is. But I'm just wondering, like, as I'm turning that campaign on, how do I start to I know it's not gonna like I'm gonna sell like one book for the first month. Is kind of what I'm
Mhm.
expecting, right? Then
Yeah.
maybe two, then four, then
What's the price
eight, like
point of the book?
15.
15.
Yeah.
I mean, you could set up a campaign that's a cost per conversion campaign, probably on Meta. Um,
Okay.
and then you could sort of cap that customer acquisition cost at a certain amount. That might take
Okay.
a while to build, to be honest with you. Like
Yeah.
that, if you don't have much of an audience there, I find that works a little bit more effectively when there's some history of converting. So then with that case, what you really want to do is you want to set it up so that you have cold and warm audiences. So you want to think through what is the total amount that you're willing to risk on advertising, right?
Hmm.
On a monthly basis. We generally recommend you want to be spending at least $100 a day as far as your ceiling goes on advertising when you're running a sprint. You can lower that on Meta, probably closer to $50 a day as a cap, which I know can be like that's a lot of money, $1,500. Like that adds up really, really quickly. But if you structure a campaign to get cold audiences, so cold audiences is when you're optimizing for impressions and awareness. So that's your top of the funnel, people who haven't heard of you, and you're trying to get them to either click over to a website or follow you on Facebook or just at least engage and see the content. And then the second bucket of audiences would be, or ad sets is a warm audience. And so that's when you're trying to convert them to buy and sell. And it might take a little while to build up enough of a the cold audience has to get big enough for you
Yep.
to then be able to harvest warm
Yeah.
leads from that audience. And that's why we tend to encourage people to spend more money faster and actually run a shorter campaign, let's say like 6 to 12 weeks, because you'll get the results quicker. Otherwise it's like a slow bleed. You're like
Mm,
frustrated over, let's say if you would normally spend that much in 6 months,
okay.
it's gonna take you 6 months to get the exact same results, but you might get frustrated quicker. Or you might get more and more frustrated because you're like, I'm not seeing any conversions. I'm not
Yeah.
seeing
I
any.
like actually, oh, I like
Uh,
that idea.
you're not seeing any activity there. So I try to encourage, at least a 4 week sprint of that cold audience to capture them, get them interested in it, and then run, 2, 3 weeks in, start launching that warm audience campaign.
Okay.
And then the two together can drive some conversions down. I
That's
have
great.
a marketing math calculator I can send to you, Mark, which
Okay.
can help you
Yeah.
forecast out that
Uh,
how to predict that spend.
that would be great. I would love that. And
Yeah.
one of the cool things about it, and I'm working with the amazing team over at Quanius,
Great. Love it.
but we just put together, this is for my website, up to update
Mm.
my website. And we are we're going to be doing a free, get the first chapter of the book for free.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a nice like cold outreach in terms of if you want to check it out, like here's your
Yeah.
chance. And it's a
Good.
real like it's fun in terms of like how the book opens up and launches. And so I feel like that's a nice way to be able to
I
do
love
that and
that.
then
I think that's
tie that
great.
in with active campaign. So yeah, I'll be able to get opt-ins as well, which is
Mhm.
all the other elements to it as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. And then as far as like your vintage video graveyard that you have, there's probably, so I want to make sure I understand. You want to figure out a way to utilize that content in a way that because you have it, right? And is there a way to build a story arc off of that? I want to make sure, correct?
That's really what it is. Like I
Mm.
I know that we're talking, we want to have relevant, and I want to be able to move more, obviously timely and relevant. At the same time, there's stuff that also still kind of informs all of the other things,
Yeah.
like that I feel could be valuable, and also could fill in some of the gaps of like if there's a little bit of a slower week or a slower month or whatever because of
Yeah.
doing X, Y, or Z. So that's where I like the vintage video instead of the Throwback Thursday. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, there's so many AI tools out there that I think you could probably ingest, and I'd have to
Yeah.
um I'll give it a think and I'll get back to you on some ideas there where I think there's probably ways that you can just there's definitely AI solutions where you can upload all those videos and extract some themes
Mm,
from them. I know there's a lot of um advancements happening in
yeah.
AI that are really accelerating the content creation, especially if you're sitting on a lot of existing video.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen in the past 2 years, that sort of like consistent post of tied to a day of the week, that doesn't work as well as it used to because the
Mm,
algorithms aren't necessarily delivering content to everyone on the same day, like it's just sort of, you put it out, but not everyone's seeing it at
gotcha.
the
That
same
okay.
time. So I would say look at it as more as a thematic, like a story thematic, like whether it's vintage videos and taking away from that day of the week.
I like that. Okay, that makes
Even
more
if
sense now.
it's cool if it's an internal mantra, but we have just not seen um the way that social media is it takes basically you have to get a certain amount of people to like organically
Hmm.
on an
Yeah.
algorithm. So
Okay.
tying that content to a specific day of the week is
Yeah.
it starts feeling dated and more
Thank you.
irrelevant quicker
Yeah.
based on how the consumption is happening, at least at this moment in time,
Yeah.
from what
Well,
I've.
that feels good. And yeah, the other thing too is just, and I want to make sure that Janelle has some questions. Sorry, I know I'm taking up some time here. Um, I did this video a day where I was asking people how they enjoy life daily. And I
Yeah,
did that for literally almost, I think it was a year or two.
yeah.
And so I have all this old video of like
Then that should
people
just be a
just,
YouTube channel and a YouTube playlist.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like to me, that's more meaningful and then you can just sort of drive people over to the channel and the playlist
Mm,
through from social media occasionally. But if you've got something like that, there's a way on YouTube that you can set the videos to auto
yep.
roll from one to the next and it can sort of play as a background one. That's what I would do with that, hands
Nice.
down.
I like that. Yeah. Thank you.
That'd be good.
Great
Uh,
ideas.
Good.
Thank you.
So Janelle, is there any questions that you have? Any burning questions for this busy end of year, especially as it relates to what you want your audience to do or what your marketing activities will be? And she may be out driving and listening and driving because I know that's what she does. So with that, I think we can call it a wrap. So go forth, kick some ass. Happy holidays. We'll be back in January, second Wednesday of every month at 11:30 a.m. talking about oh shit to hell yeah. And I appreciate your time. And thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it. Okay.
Katie.
Bye now. All right.
Bye.